Yes, hello, hello. I hope you guys are fine. Yesterday we looked at one common vocabulary that was diner, and we said that a diner is a place where people can go and eat food, order for a drink, order for food, and have and enjoy with your friends. Now, it can be, it is nearly similar to a restaurant, a small restaurant. You understand? So that's what we are talking about, or that's what we talked about. Um, that's what we talked about yesterday. Now, today, we want to look at Beck. We want to build Beck. Beck. All of us go out there to the supermarkets, to the shops, and buy um, baked goods. And when I talk about baked goods, we can talk about bread, we can talk about cakes, wedding cakes, we can talk about cookies, we can have biscuits, donuts. All those fall under baked goods. Now, they all go through a baking process. So today we want to look at the term bake and build it. Now, looking at the picture there, you can see some gentlemen using their hands with something that is on the table, on the baking table, that we are going to look at. So tag along, let us look at the words that we are going to look at, that we are going to use during this lesson. All right. So the vocabulary that we'll be looking at in this lesson, some of the vocabulary that we'll be looking at in this lesson include baker, bake, taste, flour, yeast, baking, toast, ingredient, bakery, turn off, sieve, recipes, bakers, grater, pinch, oven, cutter, knead, slice, and toaster. So these are some of the few vocabulary that we are going to look at in this very short lesson. All right, let us go to the next slide here. In the next slide, the first word we want to look at is the word bake. What is to bake? To bake is to cook using dry heat. In most cases, we use the oven, though traditionally people used to use sand. Oh, yes, sand. If you heat up the sand to a certain level, you are able to bake whatever food, especially with a baked food that you want to make. So today, because of technology, people are now using the oven. So when we bake, what we do, we set the oven to a certain degree of heat. Once it is heat up, we put our dough inside and then it is burned up, or the heat burns it up so that it is able to turn into a color that we want. That is what we call bake. So bake here is a verb. Okay, let us look at one simple example. I will bake a cake for my mom. Yes, if your mom if your mommy's birthday is very soon, or if you want to celebrate your mom, you can simply bake a cake for her. By the way, once you have an oven, a microwave, you can bake anything. I love baking. Okay, we go to the next one. The next one we want to look at is baker. We are going to look at three words there, including that. We are going to look at a baker. A baker is a person who bakes bread, cookies, cakes. Myself, I am a baker. Why? Because I like baking. I know how to bake that. You have seen some of these on my channel here. So we have that word baker. Then we have bakery, a place where bread is baked. There wasn't any bread at the bakery. So look at the picture here. The people you see here are called bakers. What you see on the ground here is called dough. Dough. The one you see here on the ground. So what's a dough? A dough is a thick mixture of flour and other ingredients ready for baking. So once I mix flour, in Somali they usually call it bur. So if I mix flour, water, yeast, salt, then I start kneading, doing like this. I listen, just that lady, what that lady is doing, she's kneading. So once you knead, you are kneading dough so that you can make this dough ready to be put in the oven for baking. So look at this picture. Here we can see the baker. Here we can see that dough. Then up there you can see the oven. Then we can see here baked products. That's bread and others. Okay. Then we have flour. Flour, that's a powder obtained by graining grain, graining grain like wheat in making bread. So that's what we are calling flour. I hope you can see that. That's what we are calling flour there. It's the one that we use to make bread. Is that okay? Okay, let us go on to the next part of our slide. So like that, you'd say add 2 cups of flour in a bowl. Add 2 cups of flour in a bowl. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Our next slide is a pinch of salt. Pinch. This is what we call a pinch. When you pick something up, if you are having this and then you pick out, this is what we call a pinch. A pinch of salt. So a pinch of salt there. A pinch of salt. You see that? So the amount of salt that you can hold or that can be held between fingers, the fingers and the thumb. There, a pinch. So I added a pinch of salt in my soup. Then we have sprinkle like this. You can use a sprinkler or you can even use your hands. Once you pick a pinch of salt, then you can sprinkle like that. You understand? So that's what we are calling sprinkle that you see there. Spreading something made of small particles around something. That's what we call sprinkle. Okay, we go to the next one. So sprinkle some flour around the table. So if this is your table and then you want to knead from it, you will put some flour there. Then you can you'll sprinkle some flour. Then you can continue your kneading. Okay. Then the last one is knead. Knead, the one I told you there. Look at that one. That one there. That's to knead. If you use flour, you mix flour with water and so on, you are able to make dough and then you're able to knead. Okay, now let us build the word there. Bake. Bake can be used as a noun, as a verb and a noun. We can form a noun from this verb and also the word bake. So bake, bakes, baking, baked. Then as a noun, we have baker, the person, and then we have bakery, the place. Guys, do you know that baker is also someone's name, a real name? Just the way someone will call you Muhammad, the way someone will call you Joan, someone is also called baker. So imagine if this baker also bakes cakes. So his name is Baker, his name is Baker, and also his profession is to bake. Therefore, what do we call the person who bakes? It's called a baker. Now, if his name is Baker and he also bakes cakes, why does he bake cakes? He bakes them at in a bakery. That means we can use all these words in one sentence. Can you read with me? Can you read with me here? Look at that. Baker, the baker baked bread at the bakery. Baker, the baker baked bread at the bakery. Can you read that very fast? Read it faster than me. Baker, the baker baked bread at the bakery. If you can read faster than me, I'll be the happiest person. Until then, I will be waiting for your audios there. Remember, comment, subscribe, and like so that you are able to follow up with the remaining lessons. Thank you very much. Bye.